So I'm gonna lock my thumbs in place, and then basically this is where, like with your nails, it's hard to come in this way with them. So I use the sides of my fingers this way to work them in a bit more, right? But it's deep, like I'm picking up that muscle structure, and it's gonna hurt, right? Yeah, you're like, oh, yeah. Especially from doing pedicures, our pecs as estheticians are so tight through here. It's awful. So this is not the most relaxing thing to have done. And I've let guests know that it's not a relaxing facial. I'm giving your facial a massive, massive workout. And so it's gonna hurt, just like you go to the gym for a half hour, right? Like it's gonna hurt. But each spot, like you say, go nice and slow, really nice and focused, work on that fascia. You're gonna feel underneath your fingertips, almost like, I would say to girls, it's like Rice Krispies. You can feel it like crunch, 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 crunch. That's all the fascia you're breaking down for her. So once I've done 3 swipes, or 2, but then I'm gonna do it 3 times on each spot, I'm then gonna take her neck, I'm gonna turn her to the head towards me, being careful of the esophagus, of course, and I'm gonna work my way a little bit lighter of a pressure in the beginning with my fingers, and then I'm gonna slowly inch my way across her neck area. Can you see what I did? Oh yeah, look at that. It's just kind of everywhere.
You know what, that hurt, but it also feels good.
Right? That's what this one is.
Yeah.
So then you're gonna bring her head back up to center again, and I'm gonna do her chin. So this one's a little awkward that you don't slip off of it. This is where I use the sides of my thumbs more than anything, the sides of my fingers, because you're gonna lock your fingers in place and then you wanna basically roll down. Now, being mindful, if they have dentures, you're gonna pop them out. If they have braces, you're gonna cut the lower lip, right? So you gotta be careful of who you're doing this one on, but basically you're picking up the chin like I was pinching it, and then I want to itsy bitsy all the way down underneath the mandible. And if you're coordinated enough, you could always come back up. I always find I feel like I'm pushing their lip into their nose, so I stop and I come back the other way, right? Then from there, I'm gonna go to my mandible. So I'm gonna turn my body again. I'm gonna work my way all the way across that lower mandible. Lip, and basically what you're doing there is just working your way all the way up the sides of the face until I get to number 5 or number 7, sorry.
And this is with the vitamin C. Right?
Vitamin C only, yeah.
And do you mix the water with it or not?
No.
Okay.
I want to, it's a little oily,
yep,
but it's not fully, right? So I have a little bit of slip. My next one, once I've done the lip, I'm going to do that nasolabial fold. So same thing, be mindful of dentures, be mindful of braces if a guest has them, to really work. And I find, like, as mature women, where we notice our lines a lot of the time is that fold area. So we're like, please work it, kind of thing. That, and like you and I said earlier, our 11s.
Mm-hmm.
Then from there, because I'm already up at the nose, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come across underneath the zygomatic. Okay, so I'm just gonna come along the bottom side of that cheek area. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna turn and work down to the mandible. Because if you think of where the muscle structure is, these muscles are going this way, and then there's a set of muscles that go on top of it this way, right? So we work across, work our way down. I'm then gonna work my way down and work my way down. Just going really, really slow, right? Like my pace is more perfect. From there you go to the eyes, which it looks like a whole bunch of little X's, because what I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to do a light pinching through that area. in her case, I'm going to be mindful of her eyebrow. That I don't pinch too hard in that area on her just because of the post. But basically, I'm just doing the same thing on the top side of the eyebrows, just pinching that whole area for her.
So my stomach.
You clearly didn't eat enough pizza. Then my last one is then I'm going to do the opposite. So you could stand at like where you are and come up the forehead this way and then work over. Or if you want to, go the opposite and just roll everything into it. And then I'm going to turn sideways and work your way. This is why you can see if somebody's had Botox done in their forehead, me pushing and pulling this over
3 times each?
3 times with each one.
Move.
Yeah.
And how long does this whole entire massage take?
35 minutes.
35, okay. So
Yeah.
that's the majority of your facial.
That is your facial. Yeah. Yeah, and then work it all the way over. And then what I'll do is once I finish there, I then come to this side of the body where you are, do this side, turn her head to the side, and work my way up that side of the face. I find it's easier to do one quadrant and then one than to try and go back and forth, especially in this kind of a case of a treatment. I can't physically get there, so I'm gonna have to walk around the table, right? So that is your first move. Then what we're going to do is I'm going to do some more fascia work then. So it's the pressure points. So I'm going to hook my fingers. So same thing when I wore my nails. I use the size of my hand just to stabilize in here for me, or I'd use the side of my thumb to stabilize. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook my 3 fingers in. There's pressure points there, and I'm going to use the side of my thumb to basically grab a hold and pull and basically rip at that skin to really break that fascia down for them. And then I'm going to lock my fingers in place just underneath the lip area. And then same thing, use the size of my thumb. This is the strongest muscle in our hand, right? So go ahead and use it and basically think of you ironing out a wrinkle with your hand. Your hand becomes the iron. And then from there, then you'll come up onto the top side, just under that nasolabial fold, come underneath the zygomatic arch.
Okay, so it's that. So first is itsy bitsy spider, and then the second half is just like flattening.
Pull and flatten, yeah, and just iron and iron and iron. Number 4 is secure your finger and come down and just iron that spot out for her. We can see somebody who has sensitive skin. I'm like, ooh, she's on this one. She's gonna love the facial cool that we're gonna do on her later this fall.
So let's say I have a client that books for this facial, and they're sitting, and I see that they're super reactant and they're sensitive.
Yeah. Then I say to them, I'm just going to change your facial for you. This service, you're going to be so red. Unless you're okay with going home, you're going to have some redness. Yeah. It's definitely a little bit more intense. I can still do a great facial using the vitamin C, other things, right? To give her the benefits that she needs. It's just not going to be as intense of a facial. That's all, right? So then you iron out the forehead. A and B is just breaking into quadrants. Some people have like tiny little foreheads. Some people you can do 3 and 3, right? So that's all what that means. Then same thing, I'm gonna switch and I would stand and come from the underside. So I'm gonna do one eyebrow and then I'm gonna do the bottom half. So I hook my fingers into the first brow point and then you're gonna iron up. Be mindful. I remember when we were first learning this, I didn't pay attention to where my hand positioning was and I was like flattening her nose. Every time I was holding, I was like, oh God, I'm so sorry. I was more about getting this hand in right position that I forgot I was actually leaning on her nose here. Yeah. So just, it's all about the body positioning sometimes, right? And then from there, then I'll just move over and do the rest of her brow and covering her whole temple area. And then of course you're gonna do the other side as well. So I'll restart here, do this side, here.
And we have these sheets too, which is nice.
So it's easy. Now I'm gonna do a massage. Perfect. So from here,
would you always use that one, the transforming?
Yeah. Just it gives me that slip that I need the most, right, for the skin type. So once I get the cream on, then I'm going to start off with my first one is just deep circular motions. So nice big circles on the chest area, just warming up the tissues more than anything. In the neck area, I like to use my whole hand and my arm. So I like to, if that makes sense, I dive into a pool, I pull and scoop and shovel all my sand out, and then I dive in and I scoop and shovel. And basically just warming up that tissue of the neck area. And then go
This one or this one?
this one. So scoop and shovel my neck. And then you're basically, once you get to the mandible, I'm just actually going to use my thumbs. So I'm going to draw my hands down on the top side and then pull upwards. So same thing, it's a way of saving your fingertips, because after doing this pulling, it's a little hard on the joint. So now I'm going to give my hands a bit of a rest, and I'm going to use my femur eminence instead. From there, I'm now going to come up the chin and cover basically that whole cheek area. And this I'm doing fairly quickly. I want blood flow, right? I want lots of circulation. I will cover that area more 6 to 9 times than 3, just to get that blood flow going. Then you're going to cover your zygomatic arch. From there, I'm then going to do my nose area. So same thing, you can come in and cover that nasolabial fold from the top side. And then your eyes. Perfect. Forehead, same thing, roll pad up, and then you can use your sides of your thumbs or the heel of your hands. Do nice big circular motions, and then the last one is basically just a fast raking. So I'm just covering the whole face, nice, easy, full hand, manhandle. She's this is why she would hate me.
I actually like it though. I want my folds gone. So
No, exact, and that's the thing. So
out.
most girls are like, just do it anyways. I'm not going home. You know what I mean? Like I'm going home after this. I'm not going out anywhere. Then I'm like, okay, cool. You're gonna be red. We're doing this, right? So no problem. So first, you'll see this movement done twice. This one is a heavy hand, heavy like effleurage. My hands are super warm. Yeah, get right into it, right? And then from there, we're gonna do lymphatic. So we're gonna open up the axilla area. So you're gonna, all of a sudden now go from heavy hand to super, super light hand. So you're gonna do your lymphatic drainage. So I'm gonna do 3 inwards and upward circles in that area, just getting the axilla going. I'm then gonna cover my chest area. So you can either do a pinch and twist this way, or you can do a pump and slide, pump and slide, pump and slide that way. If you have, I have one of my therapists that loves using cups. Does that make sense? Like, you know how you can get like the cupping, but you can get facial cups. She actually does it with her facial cups instead and does the draining that way, which is really just, again, another really fun change and a great little tool that you can bring into a service as well. So we're just going to do nice light pumping. And then number 3 is then working that whole clavicle area. So I always say to girls, it's like slicing my bread. Get in, open up that clavicle area first with some pumping. Then I'm going to come behind the ears and do nice little drain out of the neck. If her neck's small, like I said, you could just do a simple swoop if need be. But just remember that your pressure is really, really nice on this one. Okay. So now once that is all opened, I'm then going to do underneath the mandible. So you just got to remember with anything lymphatic, you open an area, you drain into it. You open the next area, drain into it, right? And then cover my whole mandible. Then you'll do the top side of your mandible, following all the way up the cheeks, all the way to the nose, and then you'll finish it just underneath the eyebrows. The last one, this is the same movement that I was doing earlier when I did the pre-cleanse. Does that make sense? Always finishing with a full swoop of the forehead, making sure that you drain everything down and into the back of the neck and then drain out through the clavicle. Okay, so from there, I'm now gonna do my pressure points. So easy one to remember, same thing, itsy bitsy spider again. You have your governing vessel, which is at the forehead. My next one is at my brow point. My next one is at the nose, and then down at the below the chin. Typically when you're doing pressure points, we always just do the middle finger. It has no pulse point, so you can feel the pulse point the most. This one, because I want it to flow and with the energy wise, we're gonna use multiple fingers. So I always go thumb over thumb with the one, because what else are you doing with this hand, right? Easy and simple. 3 counterclockwise, 3 clockwise, press and hold. Then you're gonna do your brow point. just at the flares of the nostrils, and making sure that when you're doing the nostrils that you're pushing outwards, not inwards, right? Then you'll do just underneath the lip area. And then I always say to girls, hook your pinky finger in under the mandible, slide around to make connection, and then restart again. And then we'll do that movement again 6 times, like going all the way through, okay? Once you're finished that, I lied, I'm gonna flip the page. We're then doing the nervous system. So exact same Reiki that we did, but now this is just very slow and soft. And you'll basically just work your way all the way down the face, keeping it different. So this massage, like I said, I keep this one for this service alone. It makes it advanced, right? 35 minutes of massaging kind of thing. Mm-hmm. If you're looking for exfoliation, it's not this facial. It's dual or a basic facial, right? You choose as the therapist, and that's why we've always kept our facials as just a generic Tulasara, because then you guys get control of it, right? Mm-hmm. Instead of a guest coming in like you've had before where they've come in with acne facial, and you're like, you're not an acne facial, right? It's just when it comes to the advanced, but like I said, we typically leave the advanced to let the therapist meet you first. If she wants to do that one, she will, but she may tell you this is all that you need instead, mm-hmm. right? And those are the little things with your front desk staff. These guys know that, but yours, you're gonna have to do some training with,